Hi everyone, 23rd of August, so interesting weeks this week, so let's run through what I did and what a typical life of delivery manager looks like this week. As you know, I've been on two different teams, and so interestingly on one of the teams we've got product, but we've also got development. And what I find interesting is the way product and development work together. And that's been something that we've been looking at this week. Because obviously product, which is essentially expert advice, a person who knows the product, a person can provide understanding about the product. They can tell the team what it is that people using the product need. So then the question is, what's the point of having a user research? And that's sort of the questions that we've been dealing with this week, because this is a newish team in terms of the product manager is new. I'm relatively new to the team, so it's a new team and it's working out our balances. And we've been doing some roles and responsibility sessions to work out our balances and work out what part of the process we're all involved in. What we've discovered though is we have different mentalities in terms of the use of development leads and the use of user research. So let's say you have a development lead. They've got tons of experience on how the product is used. They've got tons of experience on the people who use the product. There used to be one, in fact. And so they come to the team and they say, okay, now the next thing we need to develop is X. Now, do you go ahead and develop that product, or do you go ahead and do user research? And that's the kind of thing we've been thinking about. Because you've got a person here who you trust 100%. You know that they have a background using this product. You know that they've also, you know that they've got their finger on the pulse in terms of what this product is and how people use it. They're very much clued up. They're very much in the trenches in terms of this product. So you've got a very understanding, user-based person advising you to go in one direction. As in, we now should develop this because this will ultimately help the people using this product. Sounds good. The product lead will follow product principles and say, okay, you've identified this need, let's do some user research. Now, is the user research needed? Some people say yes, some people say no. Some people say obviously yes, some people say obviously no, right? I'm not making a choice on this one, because we've actually got a catch-up where we're going to discuss this, and I don't want to prejudge anything, because I want to hear and understand both sides first. So the question is, what's the point in doing user research if you've already got a user expert on the team? That's the kind of thing we've been sort of grappling with, and that's one of the things that's popped up. So I'm going to have a session next week, get the development together, get product together, and just really hash out what we want the process to be. And it might be the fact that it might be a combination of both, and it might be something that we essentially have to compromise. But whatever we do, we've got to have a process written down which will avoid any conflict. And then we can come back in a month's time, review it. Has it gone well? Has it led us in the right direction? Do we need to, review that process? And if so, we'll go ahead and review. But I think it's important just to get something down, and that's sort of one of the things I've been dealing with on one team, which has really been really interesting. And on the other team, I've been, again, that's a team which is very underdeveloped in an agile way. So there's loads of things to do on that team, and it's been a very exciting trip so far in terms of working with that team, getting lots of information, putting pieces into play. And this week it's been about trying to move that forward. So we've got a few things that we've ironed out. I ran a retro this week where we looked at the bigger picture and larger things that we can put in. And I think one of the things that we're going to look at now, in fact, one of the things that we're going to look at now is the JIRA board, how we use JIRA, how we all use JIRA, and how we can use it to, ensure that we're working collaboratively, that we're reporting things in the right way, that everyone understands what the work is and so on, which is not immediately clear. And there's a few other bits and pieces that I wanted to put in place. So there's uncertainty in the organisation, clearly because of the various changes that are going on. So I wanted to put in a drop-in session where people can just book my time. I'll have an hour booked out on my calendar once a week. People can book my time and they can speak to me about any uncertainty, any questions, any concerns, and it's just a place to go to have someone to speak to. I've done that on my other team, and I've done that in my teams in the past, and it's worked really well with people. I say, look, I'm just going to take 20 minutes of your time, just going to have a quick chat, just to relieve my sort of mental concerns. And again, that's about improving that psychological safety. It's about providing that space within the team for a team member to vent, to de-stress, to to get things out and have issues addressed. I had a couple of other catch-ups with some other delivery managers this week as well. I like to keep in touch with a couple of people just in terms of bouncing some ideas off them, thinking about ways forward, and it's always useful to get a second opinion, I find. So speaking to them, getting a second opinion, and just refining the ideas that I have in terms of moving forward with these two different teams. So that's been super helpful. A lot of people have asked me about context switching between two different teams, and I mean, personally, I enjoy it. I have two different windows open up with a bunch of tabs on one team and a bunch of tabs on the other team, and for me, that's enough to separate and to context switch. I don't have a lot of issues context switching. I don't mind flicking back and forth between the two. For me, it's fairly straightforward. I know a lot of people don't like that, and a lot of people like to reduce context switching. For me, it's when I've saturated on one team, I switch across and start working on the other team, and when I'm saturated there, I switch back. It works out perfectly. So it's really interesting speaking to other delivery managers about this, and this is what I did this week, just a couple of catch-ups with people I haven't spoken to for a bit, just about how it's going, how they're going, how I'm doing, what things I'm working on, what they're working on, and so on. Speaking of which, we've also putting together, so one of the products that we're working on is related to two other products within the organisation. So we put together a what we call it a Scrum of Scrums meeting. So we're basically just going to get together, get everyone together, and talk about what's going on across these three different but related areas. And I think that's really going to help us, because what we might do is start moving into a joint demo as well, just so we're all aware of what each other are doing. Also, the QA tester is working between the three teams, and sometimes this person is not always aware of what's a priority, what isn't a priority. So having this Scrum of Scrums where we bring things together is an opportunity to bring other things together, and other things in a way that's going to be helpful, beneficial to people like the QA, because they know in that case what the priorities are, but also in terms of helping the tech leads understand what the priorities are across the board, what things are being deployed, because all three teams will have their own deploys, and how that all works together. So there's this all joining together, I think I'm quite optimistic about. So that was the essence of my week. Obviously on top of that, there was fair few sort of regular ceremonies and meetings that I didn't go through, fairly sort of regular mundane stuff which you have to do to continue to have things moving. So that was my week. I hope you enjoyed listening. I'll see you again next week.